All right, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. Hey, William, let's bring in our next guest, Michael Bogart. Hello, sir.
Chuck,
how are you? Good to see you.
Yep.
You know, you were on last week. We were talking about the Millennials and how they're kind of like the people that you're trying to draw back into the church.
Right. Yep.
How's that working out for you?
Well, you know, we did an experiment, 2.5 years, where we had my son and about 5 of his friends, more or less, you know, early 20-ish kind of a thing. We met on Sunday nights pretty much every week for 2.5 years. And we talked about everything under the sun, and I came to some very interesting conclusions out of that.
I'm curious, what was important to them?
It took about 2 months for them to get all of the anger out of their system, and I was very surprised.
What were they angry about, Mike?
They were angry at some church leaders that they perceived had let them down, or, you know, not met their
Personally? Or
more just
globally?
Didn't live up to the image that they had for them. That
for
was
people
one
that
thing.
They knew personally.
Correct.
They had gone to church and they weren't satisfied with what they were getting.
They weren't talking about, you know, the televangelists. It was people that they knew.
Okay.
And they also were very, very involved in the internet. And there's a lot of negative talk on the internet about things, about religious things.
Sure.
So they were caught up in that.
Well, it's easy to do that because God's not looking when you're on the internet.
So some people think. Yeah, right. That's the perception anyway.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. Well, there's an awful lot on there that I think God would have something to say about. But it took them about 2 or 3 months to get all of the anger out of their system. And so I was with a bunch of the other dads, and we were kind of monitoring this. And so after the anger was gone, we said, what do you guys want to talk about? We talked about abortion. We talked about homosexuality. We talked about the Bible and whether or not it's, you know, really is what it claims to be. We talked about, you know, the direction society is going. And of course, we talked about the church a lot. 2.5 years.
Wow.
Some amazing conversations that we had during that time.
Wow. Was that some of the reasons why you started this 21st Century Faith?
It was. It was out of that I realized that there are a lot of people like me, you know, my generation, our generation, that are very disappointed with how their kids turned out, or the kids are in rebellion, or, you know, that sort of thing.
You know, I wonder about this. I go, well, wait a minute. Are the kids worse today, or am I getting older? Was I that much of a jerk when I was younger? Was I that disrespectful when I was younger? And you know what? No, I was not. I might have been a jerk, but I wasn't. Pardon me?
Not allowed to be.
Not allowed to be. Thank you.
That's right.
You
know, Chuck, I don't think it's a matter of...
I don't think it had to be anything to do with church, though.
No. If you remember,
parents.
Our generation, we were the bad people. We were the bad kids. We were in rebellion against our parents. We broke our parents' heart. We rejected our parents' values. They fought World War II so that we could have a better life, and we threw it back in their face.
Was your dad in World War II?
He was in Korea.
My dad was in Korea.
Yeah.
You know what he told me? He said when they landed, they went through this big tent, and you got 10 shots in this arm and 11 shots in this arm, and they made him do push-ups on the other end.
That's right.
That's the only story he'd ever give me from Korea.
Well, my dad was in the Navy during the Korean conflict and had some very interesting stories there, too.
Wow.
But, you know, we disappointed our parents' generation. I think we're just going through the same dynamic. Some of the issues are different. And
but the language is so bad, I think, these days.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it out in public, and I'm the kind of guy that's, will speak up and tell them to watch their language because there's women and children around.
That's right.
And it just goes. I mean, I just have had so many different types of responses. It's scary.
Well, yeah, it's true. I tell you, I was downtown on Blackstone getting gas. It's been about 2 or 3 years ago, and there was a big, sort of scruffy-looking guy at the store, the convenience store I was buying gas from, and I thought, oh boy, you know, I got to watch myself as I go in to pay for the gas. And there was a young man and a young woman right ahead of me, and the young man started to go in ahead of the woman, and that scruffy guy pulled him back and said, "Where's your manners?
Nice.
Ladies first, man."
Nice.
I thought, this guy's my friend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know, and then I wonder about this, Mike. I wonder about you. I go, why is this so important to Michael Bogart? Why is it important for him to get these millennials, these, mid-20?
Yeah, everything
30?
from late teens to early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know, I spent 18 years, I was a pastor in the city of Lemoore, California, so not too far from here. I spent 18 years in that city. I also taught college part-time, so that was kind of a different experience. And then I spent the next 12 years after that here in Fresno, based out of Fresno, running a Bible institute that mainly catered to churches on the west side, ethnic churches, where I taught their leaders, Bible and theology and that sort of thing. And then I took trips to developing countries, the Congo, Haiti, Mexico, South Africa, all over the world, teaching Christian leaders in those places. And I realized, somebody's got to have a bigger picture for the church. Most pastors they're focused naturally on their own people or maybe their own denomination. But somebody's got to see the big picture for where the church is going. And one big component in that is the next generation. If we're not passing the baton, we're in big trouble. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Baptist or a Catholic or a Pentecostal or whatever you are, we're all experiencing the same phenomenon.
We're talking about millennials, 20 to 30 years old. We're also talking about ages where people are having babies.
That's right.
Starting to raise kids with these same type of beliefs, same type of morals. Is that another thing that's important to you?
Well, of course it is. I have 8 grandchildren, and what's happening to them is of great concern to me. And the grandfather's perspective is very different than the father's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that yet, but you have a bigger picture for the future than you ever had as a father. So yeah, I'm concerned about that whole phenomenon.
You've written some books on this subject.
I have.
Where can people find those?
Well, my website is www.aspectministries.com. I have a commercial website that's linked to that. It's Mind Cuisine, like brainfood.com, where you can get all of my videos. I got 5 videos. I got 4 books and another book coming out. I've got books and videos on Islam, on Mormonism, the New Age, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Bible itself. And I'm planning to write a new book on Christianity covering the whole picture of everybody who claims to follow Jesus. So it's those kinds of perspectives I want to give people and supply the church with.
Only the people that follow Jesus, Mike?
What?
You're writing that for just only the people?
Oh, no, I'm talking about including all the groups. Okay. It's for the world. Yeah, I'm writing it for the world audience. Awesome. Yes, absolutely.
Michael Bogart, 21st Century Faith. I always love talking to you, man.
Great, Chuck. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, we're going to close out for the day. We hope you guys had a good time like we did. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on KAIL.
All right. Thanks.